Namaste. Hello, dear friends. Here is a yin practice for the wrists. So, as many of you know, I am a massage therapist. I have been for 23 years, and every now and again I go through a cycle where my wrists are just hurting quite a bit. And so I'm in one of those cycles. So I need this, and you might not be a massage therapist, but I guarantee that you're doing this at your computer a lot. And so I imagine that all of us in our own way can use some wrist support. So we'll begin in a seated position, this Sukhasana position, and you will want to have your props that you usually have for your yin practice. You can sit onto a bolster if you like. That makes the seat more comfortable. We'll be here for a little while. Begin by just letting your hands rest here onto the knees. Sit up nice and tall and come into a comfortable breath. You can close your eyes if you like. You can also keep the eyes softly open. But feel the steady inhale and exhale. Feel yourself grounding and connecting, taking this opportunity here to let the day's activities fall away and to quiet the mind. Letting the eyes softly open now. Bring your hands in front of you. This is actually a move I learned from Qigong. And the idea is that the hand stays really loose, really soft. We're going to lead with the wrist, and the fingertips will just kind of follow. I just watched Karate Kid 1, and so it's a little bit like, paint the fence, right? Mr. Miyagi teaches, paint the fence. The wrist leads the way, and the fingers follow, okay? So now that you've got the motion, on an inhale, we'll let the wrist lead up, and then the wrist will lead out to the sides. We're making a square. Fingertips come up, palms face forward as the hands come down, and then wrists lead in. So inhale and exhale, making the square. Be kind of precise in the square if you can. And we want to feel this more in the wrists, a little less in the shoulders and the elbows, but those joints also are involved. Now see if you can round out the edges, so make it more like a circle. And imagine that you're bringing your hands through some resistance, water or sand, some imaginary resistance that you're working through. Good. And when you come up here, let's pause, we'll reverse it. So hands come down, out to the side, up and in. Make the box down, out to the side, up and in. One more time, square edges. Make sure you're still breathing, because if you're new, it takes concentration, and that means sometimes we hold our breath. Now make the circle, round it out. You might feel your hands, your palms beginning to warm. Lots of blood and circulation moving into the wrist joint here. Good. One more. Nice. Now hands come onto the knees, palms face up. Close the eyes and just notice the feeling through the forearms, the wrists, the hands. And let the center of the palms soften quite a bit. The fingertips also soft. And the eyes open. Okay, slide off your bolster. And please bring your left foot behind you, deer pose. So left foot comes behind, right foot is in front, shin parallel. Right hand comes off to the side to support you, right hand onto the hip. We're just going to open the hips a little bit. It'll make sense, I promise. This hip lifts up on the inhale, and exhale, press that hip down. Again, inhale, lift it up. Exhale, press down, just bringing some motion, some warmth and fluidity into the left hip. Okay, now press that hip down, keep it down. We're here in this deer pose. Bring your hands forward. Fingertips will point in towards you. Backs of the hands on the floor. Ooh, strong stretch here. Let's begin. We'll hold and take this as our yin pose. So this is a yin pose somewhat for the hips, but definitely for the wrists. Your elbows can bend and see what that feels like to put all of the back of the hand onto the floor, or if you start to straighten the elbows, you might feel the wrist and top of the hand pull away from the floor. So just find the spot that really feels good for you for a stretch. Just a couple more breaths here. Stay with it. Good. We'll release very, very slowly, very gently peel off of the hands. Fingertips leave the ground last. Make a fist and just slowly, so slowly circle your fist. And in the other direction. Great. Gentle shake of the hands. We'll switch. Deer pose to the other side. Left foot comes forward, right foot comes back. Right hand onto the hip. Inhale, lift the hip up. Exhale, press it down. It lifts up again. And you exhale, pressing down. One more. Very good. Okay, sit that hip down. Bring your hands forward. This time, backs of the hands on the floor. I'll reset my timer here. Backs of the hands on the floor, fingertips point in towards each other. So again, elbows can be bent or elbows can be straight. We can feel when we're leaning forward that we're also getting this sensation into the hip. So also stretching into the hip. And just see if you can make a fist. Let's hold the fist. It can be a light fist. It doesn't have to be so hard. We want to see if we can keep a fist, but keep the backs of the hands on the floor at the same time. So we'll feel this stretch in the same part, the front of the forearm and down into the wrist. Breathing. Now see if you can, again, just let the fingertips open and let the backs of the hands be on the floor. Last breath. Good. Roll off those hands. Oh, okay. And then you'll grab one wrist, doesn't matter which one. Grab right below the wrist here. Make a light fist. And now grab with that firm grasp around the wrist. Circle the wrist in one direction and circle in the other direction. And we'll switch sides. So grab the opposite wrist with a light fist, circle, and other direction, circle. Great. Shake out the hands. Transition here. Take this back right foot and bring it all the way forward. So this will be one option with the foot onto the mat, sitting here. If this is challenging for you, you can sit up onto a bolster. Getting some height underneath the hips will really help. If you can, take Gomukhasana pose, or shoelace it's called in yin, and actually stack the knees one on top of the other. Okay, so we'll come forward, backs of the hands onto the mat. So face your palms forward and fingertips come down, and we'll press the palm onto the floor. Now, if you're in this position, it will be hard to lean forward. You can just do this out here at your sides, pressing the palms down here And in this position, you'll probably need to lean back into it a little bit to get that good stretch for the wrist joint. Okay, breathing. And again, experiment with the arms straight or trying to bend. This time, in this position, if you bend the elbows, it actually intensifies the stretch. That was the opposite case in the last one, but that's the case here. All right, find your breath, feel that lovely deep hip opening and also the stretch for the underside of the forearm at the same time. Softness through the neck, let the head relax. Try to find as much ease and surrender in the posture as you can. Good. Now, slowly come up, and once more, we'll just peel right off the forearms. Good. Release however you want. If the circles feel good, if the shakes feel good, that's great. Switch which leg is in front. So now, taking the right foot underneath, the left foot steps to the outside, staying up high, or maybe taking Gomukhasana for the hips. Either way. We'll do the same exact thing this time actually. So fingertips pressing down into the floor here, stretching the underside of the wrists. Breathe. Last breath. And slowly peel up off of the hands. Honor the wrists. They may feel vulnerable and tender. Mine certainly do. So release them, shake them out. All right, to tabletop. Come on forward. This is a self-massage technique that I've used with great success when my wrists are really bothering me. So we start in a child's pose position. You're going to use your knee to massage your forearm. Let's start with the left arm. Bring your left arm down, and you bring your arm down so the forearm's parallel to the top of your mat. The hips lift. You'll use your right knee, so you might need to adjust the arm. Now, my right hand is my supportive hand here, and sometimes I rest my forehead onto the right forearm. Now, take your right knee, start at the wrist, and just press your right knee down into the forearm. Your hand will curl automatically. And just take some deep breaths there, letting that pressure, which you can determine how deep you want to go, let that pressure sink in. And then you release, your hand will release, move up, and get the next spot with your knee. Now, the great thing about using the knee is that the surface is so broad, we can actually handle quite a bit of depth, quite a bit of compression here, without it being super painful. All right, let's release and move the right knee up towards the elbow. So just about 3 spots on the forearm, maybe more if your forearm's longer. Now we're really into the meaty part of the forearm, just below the elbow. So just notice here, if your knee wants to move slightly to one side or the other, front to back, and just follow any impulse here to give yourself that good massage. Good, and you'll slowly walk your knee back down towards the wrist. A little bit goes a long way. So now we're back down at the wrist. Send your right knee back and sit onto the heels. Come on up for just a moment here. Grab onto your forearm with your left forearm with your right hand and just give a little squeeze to that tissue, like you're trying to wrap the tissues around the bone, and then go in the other direction. You might want to turn over. Great. Left palm faces forward, fingertips down. Use your right hand and just give a little stretch there. And release. Okay, back to tabletop position. We'll do the right forearm this time. So right forearm comes across. You'll use your left knee. I have my watch on. I'm going to take that off. I recommend if you have jewelry on also to take jewelry off. Okay, left knee is what we'll use. So left knee walks onto the right forearm, starting right at the wrist. Breathing deeply and comfortably as you go, letting the pressure of the knee sink into the muscles of the arm. And now the knee will lift. You'll go up higher, right into the middle part of the forearm. Take a couple breaths, just let that pressure sink in there. Good, now we're up closer to the elbow, really in the strong muscles of the forearm here. Now you can use your intuition and take about 4 or 5 pulses with the knee to make your way back down towards the wrist. And we're back at the wrist here. Sit back into your kneeling position, hips onto heels, coming up. Grab that right forearm and give it a twist. And in both directions, twisting the skin, the fascia underneath the skin. Good. Right palm faces forward, grab with left fingertips, pull back, stretch. And release. Excellent. Sukhasana. Hands release onto the knees, palms face up. Actively stretch the fingertips down towards the floor with straight arms. They may touch the floor, they may not touch the floor, it doesn't matter. Close the eyes, breathe. Stay here in meditation for some time. Thank you very much.